Good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners meeting. It is Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. I'm calling this meeting to order. It is 2:01 p.m. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. Vice Chair Ty Menser joining me here in the boardroom. Commissioner Gary Edwards joining us via Zoom. We'll start today's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Menser.
Okay, we have a number of guests today. I'd like to call on Lacey City Council Member Michael Stedman to lead us.
Please join me in the pledge allegiance to our pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Next, Commissioner Vice Chair Menser, would you like to do a land acknowledgement, sir?
Thank you. We would also like to start today with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial, and who still inhabit the area today, specifically the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers, heritage, and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing.
Thank you, sir. Next is the approval of the Tuesday, July 19th agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the proposed agenda for Tuesday, July 19th, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Next is the approval of the board meeting minutes from July 12th.
I move to approve board meeting minutes from July 12th, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Before we continue, I do want to make an announcement that we do have two public hearings set today. We will be pausing our regular agenda to go to the public hearing. The first one at 3 p.m. It's a 2022 update of Thurston County Chapter 1507, Illicit Discharge Detection and Elimination. The public hearing at 3:30 is for ballot proposition to increase the Board of County Commissioners from 3 to 5 members. After that, we will be resuming our regular agenda. With that, we will move on to a presentation that we have scheduled today, and it's the Proclamation for Pretrial, Probation, and Parole Supervision Week.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will ask Nicole Carbone to come to the podium and provide some perspective related to this proclamation. And I think we have many guests attending today. Nicole?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here.
Lift the mic.
Oh.
There you go. Just bring it up. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here this afternoon. I am Nicole Carbone with the Thurston County Pretrial Services Department. I am here on behalf of Marianne Clear, our department director, who is unable to be with us today. I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of you, as well as our Pretrial Services Governing Board, for recognizing the work that we do and the services that we provide our community and our local criminal justice system. Specifically from our Pretrial Services Governing Board, I'd like to thank Ramiro Chavez, Kurt Harden, and Sheriff Snaza for being here. We also have some Pretrial Services staff in the room. I have Zach Wilson and Andre Clark here. And then on the Zoom platform, I have Chris Moeller and Lisa Jackson with us as well. So we just want to take a moment to say thank you for the support of the work that we do, and we're happy to be here.
Thank you. Sheriff, would you like to say anything?
First off, I want to say thank you very much for doing this proclamation. Being fortunate enough to be part of a group of individuals that gets to work with Director Clear and pretrial services has been an awesome experience. For a person who's been in law enforcement for many years, it's been a great experience because in the end, we all know that people make mistakes, and it's how they're able to recover from those mistakes and how they become part of our communities. And I just want to say that the men and women who work in pretrial services do an amazing job serving our community and just really put a lot of heart into what they do every day to make sure not only our community is safe, but the people that they are working with are getting assistance and the need that they need, right? What I mean by that is the push to be better, the education if they need that, the resources, making the resources available to the individuals has been really an awesome experience. And I just want to say thank you for doing this today and making it a proclamation. I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Edwards?
Well, I think I'd just add to that, not only keep the community safer, but it actually saves us money as taxpayers in the long run because correctional costs are quite extensive. And this really makes a difference to the taxpayers. So thank you very much.
And I think we have our probation supervisor. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having us. My name is Raul Salazar. I'm the probation director manager. We just wanted to thank the board for acknowledging us today. Once again, we are the probation department, and I have some of my staff here, Sunshine Cross, Brittany Miller, Katie Valerie. We're able to attend today. Just want to recognize all the hard work that they do and the rest of the department and the people who couldn't be here. Once again, thank you, everybody, for acknowledging.
Oh, thank you. Also, I believe we have Ted Bryan, Juvenile Court Administrator. Go ahead, Ted.
Thank you, Romero. Yes, Ted Bryan, Juvenile Court Administrator for Thurston County. I just wanted to thank the board for this proclamation, recognizing everyone in pretrial services, probation and parole services. I think many of you might know I'm in my 39th year of court services. It means a lot to the kids and families. I've been able to serve, I believe, and I recognize the last 2 years have been increasingly difficult in our field, moving to Zoom meetings, Zoom services, doing things differently. Those challenges have been met head on by pretrial services and juvenile court probation for sure. And I just want to, I will share this with all of juvenile court staff, and I appreciate the board's recognition today. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Menser?
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate this opportunity as well. My former life, I worked as a criminal defense attorney, so I worked directly with the clients serving the clients you serve, and I always appreciated the positive attitude and helpful approach that I felt like our local probation officers brought to their work. Pre-trial now, as a commissioner, I work a lot with Director Clear, appreciate working with her. Not only the pandemic, but we've thrown all kinds of different changes at that department, from pilot programs and let's try this, and we're going to expand to district court, and we're going to add new, so we've, and there's always positivity, flexibility. She's led the effort, I know, on the APPR project to overlook at the way we manage pretrial release in general, which I think is going to be really helpful at Thurston County. So just want to say thank you and appreciate the opportunity to say thank you.
And I will just second what has been already said. Pretrial services does have a sweet spot for me. But, you know, I'm really happy to see probation services here from district court, because I know the work that you've done. And of course, I've worked with Sunshine before in my previous job. So very excited to honor all of you. Thank you so much for what you do. With that, Vice Chair Menser, if you're ready to read the proclamation.
Yes, Madam Chair. Thurston County Proclamation, Pretrial, Probation, and Parole Supervision Week. Whereas July 17th through July 23rd, 2022 is National Pretrial, Probation, and Parole Supervision Week to commemorate the important work done by community corrections professionals around the world that keep our communities safe. And whereas it was noted in the 2021 Pretrial Services Judicial Business Report by the United States Court, there were 76,367 cases opened in the pretrial services system. And whereas the Bureau of Justice Statistics reported that at the 2020 year end, there were approximately 3,890,400 adults under community supervision across the United States. And whereas pretrial, probation, and parole supervision professionals are in a unique position to better people's lives, as they play an essential role in the justice system. And whereas community corrections professionals uphold the order of the court with dignity, while recognizing the right of the public to be safeguarded from criminal activity. And whereas these professionals are responsible for supervising those involved in adult and juvenile justice systems. And whereas community corrections professionals promote prevention and intervention by providing services and referrals for offenders and advocate for restorative justice. And whereas community corrections professionals provide support and protection for victims. And whereas Thurston County community corrections professionals are a true force for positive change in our communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaims July 17th through July 23rd, 2022 as Pretrial, Probation, and Parole Supervision Week in Thurston County and urges citizens to join in recognizing the positive impacts of these professionals and services. Adopted this 19th day of July, 2022 by the Board of County Commissioners.
Please come for a picture. Please come for a picture.
Still waiting on my speedy trial.
I need you to scoot in just a little bit. The dog. You ready?
Come on, no dog in the picture?
1, 2, 3.
Gotta make them smile.
That will conclude our presentations for today. Next, there's an opportunity for the public to address the board. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. The general speaking guidelines are as follows. Please introduce yourself, including the address you reside in the county. Please address the board, not the audience or staff. Please silence your cell phones for those in the boardroom. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate their speaking time to another person. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business. All materials provided to the county may be considered public records, subject to public release upon request, pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 of the RCW. No remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal, and no electioneering. Thank you so much for your cooperation. I will call the members who have signed up on the sheet, and then I will see if there's anyone who hasn't signed up would like to provide testimony, and then we will move to the attendees via Zoom, and the county manager will help me with those as I cannot see the names from all the way back here. So we'll start with our first person, James Galuso.
Thank you. My name is James Geluso. I live in District 3 at 917 Comiskey in the city of Tumwater. I've been following the dispute between the county and the Community Action Council for the past couple of months. I've read the articles in the paper, I've read the county statements and the CAC statements, and I've read the Thurston County Auditor's report. The county has badly mishandled this. Is there fraud in the rental program? Yeah, probably. Show me a government program that doesn't struggle with improper payments. We know from experience, decades of experience, that tight measures against fraud also make it difficult for people who are eligible to access the programs that they need. Look at what happens in Medicaid. Look at what happens in voter registration. This is about $860,000 out of a $31 million contract. 1/4%. The county's reaction is way out of proportion, especially in this time of crisis. Income inequality is rising. The well-off, me and you, we can afford mortgages and rent. Not everybody can. And you disrupted a program that people are counting on over 1/4%. And then you acted surprised when the CAC didn't renew their contracts with you. I wouldn't have renewed the contracts either. You've acted as a bad partner. You're probably thinking that I don't know all the facts, and that's another problem. You made this decision in a closed session. Just because the law allows you to have a closed session doesn't mean you have to, and it doesn't mean you should. In this case, for an action of this magnitude, you should have made the case in public. If there is a case, if, we should hear it, because the case you have made in public thus far is grossly inadequate. As a taxpayer and a voter and a human being, I would rather see 5% fraud than one person evicted. That should be the county's priority. Thank you.
Next is Mr. John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live in East Olympia off Rich Road. I have several things to talk about today, and quite honestly, there's too many targets to be able to try to address, but we'll start out with a couple things on your current agenda that you have. I noticed item 4A on the Commissioner item. It's hiring a contract with Foster Garvey to provide legal advice and litigation defense regarding bond and debt issuance. I think you probably need it. You definitely need it. But I have to tell you, as I was looking up, because the defense you're looking at has to do with a filing that I made against the county for going forward with a bond, that it was clearly intentionally going to be misused for categories of purpose other than what was being claimed to be the purpose of the bond. That would be fraud. That might be security fraud. I'm happy to have people go forward, but the good pleasing part about this is there was a suggestion about taking a deposition. Well, you know what? I welcome a deposition because I get to have a deposition on each of the commissioners, the county manager, the assistant county manager, and Elizabeth Petrich, the county attorney involved with this case. So I'm all for that. I think that's a good thing. You should go ahead and move forward. I did look at their website, and that kind of leads me to the next number, which is B. B is to approve an ordinance rescinding a couple of ordinances to do with the meeting ordinance. Well, surprisingly enough, I also sent you further information right off their website about that the law has changed for the Open Public Meeting Act. And, you know, sometimes change is good, but I was very disappointed to know that you're going to consider passing this particular action today when you have just revised this ordinance. When did you have a hearing on this particular topic? A year ago? You haven't had an up-to-date hearing since then? And then you've had revisions that hadn't come out until this morning. The public has never had an opportunity to truly review this new ordinance. It's a sham. The public's supposed to be involved, and that was one of the nice parts about some of the change that's just been brought out by the new RCW with open government. You see, no longer are we supposed to just be merely people out here that get to pay you big salaries like 130 grand a year. We get to supposedly participate under the open government ruling involved. And so I'm just going to read you a little part here I think is really important that I'm going to emphasize probably again later on. This is out of the RCW. The people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people in delegating authority do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed and informing the people's public servants of their views so they may retain control over the instruments they've created. If you don't want to listen to the people, you don't want them involved in the process, you want to do things in secret, you're moving forward that way with the meeting ordinance. You need to put it to the side and let the public have a chance to review it before you pass it. There's too many things that are wrong in it right now. Thank you.
Next is Terry Ballard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name's Terry Ballard. I'm a 35-year veteran, retired in 2012, with over 35 years, of course, of service and 29 years towards an active duty retirement. I'm here again today about this Veterans Fund that you have all received an email. Okay? The Veterans Fund still has $1.1 million of non-revenue in it. They still have $218,000 left out of the $302,000 that was given to them. For rent, I thought that COVID gave relief for rent. Oh, in this case, it doesn't to veterans, because veterans have spent, to date, had spent $18,000. You have spent $18,000 of the veteran money for rent. So it supplements something else. It's all a shell game, all a shell game. And out of the rent, okay, we still have out of just the rental assistance, total given to veterans is $29,000. Total, that's it. We ain't talking about the $12,000 of interfund transfers, okay, for administrative overhead. We're not talking about the $41,000 of salary and benefits going to the one full-time employee who most likely, in my opinion, does not work exclusively for the fund. Okay, how could she with all this stuff going on? Okay, that's $53,000 that I think needs to go into the Veterans Fund. Okay, in 2019, and I'll only go back to when Mr. Menzer was there. Okay, we transferred $11,000 to public health and social services with no identity whatsoever. We just gave them that money out of the Veterans Fund. Why is that? Okay, we're already paying overhead. We spent another $18,000 in 2020 going to the fund, but the end of year 2020, the Veterans Fund got a capital asset to the plus side of $6,000, but then transferred out to Health and Human Services was $18,000. We won't talk about the tax, the treatment sales tax that got transferred of $165,000, and we won't talk about the trial court improvement that ended up getting transferred out for $34,000. Where's this money going? We're just moving around, huh? Well, we can't spend money on things that we need because we don't have it. So we're paying the shell game and the Ponzi game to transfer funds into it from another source. Wow. Okay. On to your manager. I get tired of standing up here and getting lied to and telling that I'm a liar, okay? This is twice. He needs to go, okay? In September 29th of 2021, you received an email from John Pettit. It said, I am very interested in the post-shift since neither the Veterans Fund nor the Mental Health Fund amount should be shown as funds inside the general fund. Also, there's the road fund in here. And there's the document that your manager told me didn't exist. But let alone he and everybody on this commission, to include Ms. Campbell, got an email of this. So now I'm lied to. I'm a liar now. I think I need an apology from you, okay? And you need to do something about your manager telling the public.
Mr. Ballard, please wrap it up. Is there anyone else in the boardroom that would like to provide public comment? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. I haven't had a chance since the bid process with the solid waste had been conducted, but I wanted to thank staff and the commissioners for keeping an open mind and an open ear and paying attention, because ultimately that 3-year process, though shouldn't have taken that long, saved the residents of Thurston County $2 million a year for 10 years. That's, you know, in the bid process also showed that it would have cost us $2 million every year for 10 years extra, because the second place bid was that much higher. So ultimately, staff and commissioners, because they kept open mind, they listened to the facts, they did a true, honest, competitive bid process, and they took action, which doesn't happen every day. You saved us literally $4 million a year for 10 years. That's $40 million. And I haven't heard one person thank any of you. You know, it doesn't matter what 1 or 2 citizens do when they take action and they try to bring information to light. It all falls on deaf ears. If what you guys didn't do, if you didn't listen, it would all fall on deaf ears. So you guys all deserve a huge round of applause and respect and a big thank you, because that would have been on the backs of everybody's pockets on top of everything that's going on today. So anyways, thank you. I didn't mind putting in the hard work. It wasn't just me. There was many, many other people that saw the same thing and it made sense to them. And we tried to communicate it to you. You listened and you got it done. And that's the way the process is supposed to work, not just with solid waste, but in general. So thank you very much.
Anyone else in the boardroom? Okay, if we'll move on to Zoom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll go in the order that I see in my Zoom screen. First, I have the number 1476. You'd like to provide testimony, sir? If you do, please unmute yourself, and you have 4 minutes.
All right.
Okay.
There, I think we've got it. I will pass this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have Mr. Tony Wilson.
Yes, I actually was going to wait to speak, but I think I will just for a minute. I don't know, because the name wasn't given and address and all that. The last person to speak from the boardroom, I don't know who that was at all. I personally, as soon as I read about what happened here with the solid waste change, I did speak at a board meeting, and I did congratulate the 3 of you for getting something done that needed to be done. Not just because it's savings, but because I think change in that is good. I got a notice recently from Thurston County about recycling. What can be recycled and what can't be recycled. shredded paper has to go in the garbage now. They won't take it. I lived in Portland, and shredded paper there for 20 years went into a paper bag and got recycled. In Portland again, compost went into compostable bags, so it didn't create a fly-ridden mess. And I mean, for apartment buildings and complexes that happened, and those went into the trash, into a recycling container. And that was done that way. We also don't, and you look at the demographics in this county, and I'm sure all of you do as elected officials, lots of people are over 65. The medical facilities are jammed all the time. Prescription bottles go in the trash, they don't get recycled now. I understand the caps, they're a problem in the machines. I do not understand the other, the bottles. Now, yesterday I went to the food bank distribution warehouse and dropped off the plastic bags that I get at the grocery store because we pick up outside and they require that they bring their own bags out. There's also produce bags. I take both of those to the food bank. The plastic bags are used by the people that take advantage of the food bank services to take their groceries home. And the non-usable produce bags that are thin and meant to be single use, the food bank moves those along upstream to a company that makes plastic picnic tables. There's nothing about that stuff in what came out of Thurston County's solid waste statement. I also take our styrofoam, all of it that's clean and serviceable, to DART on Tumwater Boulevard and drop it off in a bin they have there. I can't see why that system couldn't be expanded and developed such that everybody in the county has the opportunity to get their styrofoam into a place other than the landfill. I do plan to attend the meeting on a new transfer station on the 28th, I believe it is. And I want to say these same things to what I believe is the Solid Waste Advisory Committee is who's bringing that. Because I think we can improve here. We can at least step into the 21st century as some of the European nations have, where they are 80 and 85% recycled, where we're 20 and 25%. Thank you. I would like to know who that was that spoke to.
Yeah, on the solid waste, that was council member from the city of Lacey, Michael Stedman.
Perfect, thank you.
Next, I have a Ms. Kathy Package. Would you like to provide testimony this afternoon?
I did not sign up for testimony.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have Mr. Tad Stillwell.
I did not sign up for anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Ms. Lois Ward.
I did not sign up for any testimony either.
Thank you. That concludes public testimony, Madam Chair.
Okay. Next, we're going to move to county manager's update.
I don't have any specific updates for you, Madam Chair, today.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to consent items A through G. Is there a motion?
I move to approve consent items 3A through 3G.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to department items. Items 4A, contract for bond counsel.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I will be covering for Robin Campbell. She's on vacation. As a matter of background, the Thurston County debt policy requires the county to contract with expert legal advice regarding the issuance of debt and general obligation bonds. The policy requires that the contract is awarded through a request for proposal process. The county has awarded the contract for over 25 years to the firm known as the Foster Garvey PC. And the principal advisor to the county has been Nancy Neras. Ms. Neras is deputized by the county prosecutor as a special prosecutor. The county most currently conducted a request for proposals back in 2016. At that time, the county received 2 proposals. The Foster Garvey proposal was the most advantageous to the county in both services and price. Foster Garvey receives payments when the county issues debt. The amount of payment, similar to the county bond advisor, is a percentage of the amount of debt issue on a sliding scale depending on the value of the bonds. The contract also has an hourly rate for attorneys on the firm who are experts in the field and are available to the county for legal consultation with county prosecutor attorneys. This current contract expired December 31st, 2021. The County Finance Committee, which is composed by the county treasurer, the county auditor, and the chair of the Board of County Commissioners, met on July 14, 2022, to review the contract and the process. It was determined that the debt policy requirements to award the contract based on the RP process was satisfied in 2016, and the Finance Committee has recommended through a formal letter to the Board of County Commissioners to approve this contract with Foster Garvey PC. And that's all I have for you. Any questions?
Okay, questions, Commissioner Edwards?
I believe I'll save my comments for discussion.
Questions, Commissioner Menser?
So in terms of bond activity, are we between projects, you know, or are we in the middle of a bond project?
And related to issuance of bond, we're in the process of issuing a bond, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I guess I'm just making the point that the time to change council might be when you're between projects, not when you're right in the middle of them.
And that is one of the I believe, the items they took into consideration, the Finance Committee.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve a contract with Foster Garvey PC to provide legal advice and litigation defense regarding bond and debt issuance in accordance with the recommendation of the Finance Committee and county debt policy, and authorize the Assistant County Manager to sign the contract.
Is there a second? I will second.
No.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Commissioner Edwards?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. My concern is several, but I think I'll just keep it to the point that I feel that this type of an issue, and it could have entailed even more money to do a larger project, but I feel that when we're talking about millions and millions of dollars, that it should have had an opportunity to be voted on by the public. And that is my concern on this particular issue. And I'll pass. I have other issues, but they've been addressed at other meetings. So thank you.
Any further discussion?
Just to clarify, Commissioner Edwards, your comment relates to the bond issue itself, not the lawyers that are chosen to help us through that. Am I right about that?
Well, not completely, because I don't think we ought to be in this situation that we find ourselves in today. Thank you.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Nay.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Next, item 4B, ordinance amending Chapter 2.02 of Thurston County Code.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is a follow-up to the public hearing you held March 29, 2022, this year, which is a follow-up to the public hearing you heard early in 2021 related to this particular ordinance. As you may recall, at the end of that March 29, 2022 public hearing, I recommended the Board of County Commissioners not to take an action in approving the ordinance because House Bill 1329 was just passed by the 2002 legislature, and I needed to address some of the comments within. So as a result, I have been bringing up the changes to you related to House Bill 1329. The board reviewed on a couple of occasions. The latest was on Friday in the afternoon. So this particular ordinance includes some those recommendations, and I'm going to provide just the highlights of this ordinance. RCW 3632080 parentheses 1 requires the Board of County Commissioners to hold regular meetings in the county seat to transact any business required or permitted by law. Also 3632080 parentheses 3 authorizes the board to, as an alternative option, to hold regular quarterly meetings outside the county seat, but within the county, if the board determines by motion that holding a meeting as an alternate location will be in the business interest of supporting the greatest citizens engaged in local government. Also, RCW 42.30.070 requires the Board of County Commissioners to provide a time and a place of holding regular meetings by ordinance, resolution, by laws, or by whatever other rule is required for to conduct the business of that body. Also, this ordinance outlines the board will be relocating their offices to hold the public board meetings to a room meeting located in 3000 Pacific, Olympia, Washington, and that will begin on December 1st, 2022. This particular ordinance amends the Thurston County Code, Chapter 2.02, in which identifies the official meeting room. All regular meetings of the board shall be held in the County Commissioners Meeting Room 280, Building 1, here currently, of the Thurston County Courthouse, beginning on December 1st, 2022. All regular meetings of the board shall be held in the County Commissioners Meeting Room on the first floor of the 3000 Pacific Street, Olympia, Washington. The board's regular meetings will occur between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of each week, except holidays and otherwise ordered by the board. In addition, the board may hold a regular meeting at 6 p.m. on the fourth Tuesday of every month. Also, this resolution asks the clerk of the board to post the board's weekly schedule of the regular meetings on the Friday prior to the upcoming week. Also outlines the regular quarterly meetings according to RCW 36.32080 parentheses 3 at the location to hold quarterly meetings outside of the county seat, but within the county if the board determines that holding a public meeting, again, is for the best interest of the citizens within that portion of the county. Also in this ordinance outlines the need to have regular meetings to take comments on the board's preliminary budget to ensuing the fiscal years of the ensuing fiscal year, and that will be held in this by statute between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. beginning the first Monday of either October or December. The hearing may be continue for up to 5 consecutive days, and that's pursuant RCW 36.40.070 and 071. As one of the requirements of House Bill 1329, the board welcomes public testimony on any of the public written testimony on any items for final action listed on the meeting's agenda. Written public testimony or documents intended for distribution of the board to the Board of County Commissioners prior to any meeting with the final actions are due 2 hours before the meeting. In the event a meeting begins at 10 a.m., written testimony may be received at 8 a.m. on the same day. The documents may be dropped off to the Board of County Commissioners or emailed to the clerk of the board. Also outlines the requirements of special meetings, outlines how we need to post the special meetings, and one additional items within your proposed ordinance is additional requirements on House Bill 1329, and that is related as to how the board meetings should be conducted in case of declared emergencies. And the declared emergencies will be either federal, state, and county. And I will be more than happy to read that section, but that includes how the county should conduct the meetings moving forward, Board of County Commissioners. Any questions?
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, sir.
I do believe that this ordinance needs more work. And basically what I'm referring to is good government is not possible without open government. And you don't develop trust if you have meetings that are not easily accessible. And what I'm referring to here, although we're attempting to make things better, we still haven't solved the problem of making our meeting times truly conducive to good public scrutiny. And I feel that we should really be accommodating our constituents by live streaming all of the meetings that the board has in which we have a quorum, and we're dealing with policy, direction to the staff, or when we're contemplating raising taxes or spending money. So although I think there was an attempt to get it right, I don't think we're quite there yet. And because of that, I am going to be voting negative on this particular ordinance. Thank you.
Commissioner Menzer?
Yes, County Manager, my understanding was that this ordinance doesn't address one way or the other what meetings are live streamed.
No, it's not that specific, sir.
Okay, so thank you. That was my only question.
Follow up to that, that is a different resolution, is that correct? That was
a decision by the majority of the board on that discussion that you held, and that decision was live streamed. It was not via resolution, it was a conversation among yourselves. That's how it was decided.
And this ordinance does not. I want to go over the timeline of this because this started kind of the conversations before I came on the board. And then when I came on the board, we had our first public hearing, and we paused because after that public hearing, from that public comment, we were discussing options. We paused because of litigation, and we wanted to make sure that whatever was ordered by the court, we would be adhering to it. So we paused to see if there was a final resolution to that. That litigation ended up getting dismissed by the court. So therefore, we resumed conversations again on this ordinance. And we had a draft come up, and we decided to have a public hearing this year with the new ordinance and how it had been updated with comments we'd received. I remember there was comments specifically to Kitsap County and their ordinance for public hearing, and I know we followed that one really closely to what they have. And then after that public hearing, we had to pause again just because legislation got passed, which we had to add that legislative language onto our ordinance. Am I correct on the timeline of events on that?
That is correct, Madam Chair, in terms of your description.
Okay. Do we know on that March public hearing that we had, how much public comment did we get?
I believe Mr. Pettit provided testimony at that time. Yes, and that was the only public testimony we received.
Okay. With that, I am ready to proceed with a motion.
I move to approve an ordinance rescinding ordinance numbers 15817 and 15109 and amending Chapter 202 Thurston County Code relating to regular and special meetings of the Board of County Commissioners.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, sir.
I would like to clarify that my concern is that the ordinance contain language that would prevent any meetings being conducted that dealt with direction or dollars or policy, so that it could always be live streamed and would not be a legal meeting if we did not do our due diligence to attempt to record and live stream. And the reason for that is I don't want a future board to be able to change that without having to go back through the process, through the legislative process, including having hearings. So it's just a case of we need a little more to make sure that we always conduct our business in the open, because I think that's how we develop trust with our community. So that's where I'm at. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Menser, you did raise your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of, this ordinance has had a long road. You laid it out very well, Madam Chair. That was pretty much what happened. But there's all sorts of things being cleaned up and tweaked, but the motivating thing behind the changes, and that was before the legislature added its piece, but the motivating thing was there was a lack of clarity. So regular meetings and special meetings need a different kind of notice, and it needs to be crystal clear what kind of notice pertains to what kind of meeting. So there was a little bit of lack of clarity on the previous ordinance. So that opened up the argument that, oh, you don't have the right kind of notice for this kind of meeting. So really that was the driver behind doing this to begin with, was to make it more clear so that there couldn't be any question, or shouldn't be any question, about the right kind of notice to apply to the different types of meetings the board conducts. So I think this does that. There's all sorts of, as we learned in looking at other jurisdictions, there's all sorts of ways to structure an ordinance like this. Ours isn't the same as some others. It is the same as others. I feel like we work really hard as a board and we have a lot of meetings. And so this type of, we're trying to strike a balance. So we kind of need this structure because it conforms to how we work. Other county commissions don't seem to meet as often, and they can sort of deal with 3 designated times in a week, and that's okay for them. They don't work as hard as we do. So I think we've tried to strike a balance here and try to promote clarity. And that's what I think we ultimately have with this ordinance. And we kept hitting these unrelated wrinkles that caused us to have to pause, but I'm glad to get this done and move on.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards? Commissioner Edwards?
Nay.
Commissioner
Nay.
Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Next item. Item 4C, and it's real estate brokerage services contract extension.
Thank you. I will also cover for the Assistant County Manager on this item. As a matter of background, back in 2016, the Board of County Commissioners initiated several real estate transactions to optimize the county's real estate portfolio. Following a competitive solicitation process, the county engaged with Kidder Matthews to provide real estate brokerage services in support of these efforts. Per the agreement, Kidder Matthews earns a commission based on each transaction. Over the last few years, since we have engaged with Kidder Matthews, they has helped us on securing the 3400 Monument building. Also, the Building 6 here at the courthouse campus. Also, help us to dispose of the property located on 5033 Harrison Avenue, also known as the McLean property. Provided professional appraisal services to the courthouse complex, and also help us to purchase the 909 Lake Ridge Drive Southwest. And also they're currently providing services to community planning and economic development related to the real estate transactions associated with the Habitat Conservation Plan. In 2016, it was issued a contract to Kidder Matthews, which included 2 extensions. The contract was extended back in 2018, and this particular item will recommend the board to exercise the second extension. They will go from July 31st, 2022 to July 31st, 2024. Any questions?
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Menser?
And Kidder Matthews right now, for example, is, as I understand, knee-deep in helping us with our habitat conservation plan land acquisitions.
Yeah, it has been a valuable asset.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve Amendment 5 to the Real Estate Brokerage Services Agreement with Kidder Matthews for a 2-year extension from July 31st, 2022 to July 31st, 2024, and authorize the Assistant County Manager to execute the amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Next, item 4D, Memorandum of Understanding with the Port of Olympia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This particular item is associated with the public hearing that you are scheduled to hold here at 3:30 related to the ballot proposition to ask the voters to have commissioners' representation going from 3 to 5 commissioners. There has been a good working relationship with the Port of Olympia. And this particular memorandum of understanding outlines specifically related to the redistricting committee. In the redistricting committee, as outlined in joint resolution between the county and the port, number 2021-11, it specifies the redistricting committee should be composed by the chair of the Board of County Commissioners, the chair of the Port Commission, as well as the county auditor. And it outlines a specific schedule as to when that redistricting actions should be taking place. And that will be from August 3rd through September 29. This particular MOU really is related to how county staff is going to be supporting this effort, particularly related to the geodata staff. That's division within the Informational Technology Department. And the port, through this memorandum of understanding, agrees to cover 50% of the actual cost associated with this particular effort. At this point, we have a total cost of $30,000 related to support staff to the redistricting committee as we move forward. And again, this is just one element. I have obviously more background related to the public hearing that I will outline in more detail, but if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, sir.
This is only going to move forward if the voters decide they want this to move forward and vote affirmatively. Is that right?
It will only move forward for a legislative action if the voters approve in the general election.
Yes.
What we're working is doing the groundwork for the respective legislative authorities, the Board of County Commissioners, the Port Commissions, to take an action in a timely manner, approving the redistricting of the 5 new districts. So this is just the somewhat of a groundwork leading to that potential action. Did I answer your question, sir?
Commissioner Edwards?
Did I answer your question, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Menser, questions?
No.
I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve a memorandum of understanding between Thurston County and the Port of Olympia for the purpose of implementing joint resolution number 2021-11 regarding drafting proposed new districts if the proposed ballot measures are approved by voters to increase the respective boards of commissioners from 3 to 5.
Is there a second?
Yes, second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. It is 3 p.m. We will be pausing on item 4E to go to our first public hearing. Our first public hearing is the 2022 update of Thurston County Code Chapter 15.07, Illicit discharge detection and elimination. It is 3:01 p.m. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public comment on the proposed 2022 updates of Thurston County Code, Chapter 1507, illicit discharge detection and elimination. This is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined in person, by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select announcements of public hearings on the left-hand side. The information to join this public hearing remotely has been posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. Ryan Lagan, Stormwater Operations Manager, will provide information on this topic. Assuming those on Zoom wish to testify, I will read your name aloud. I will read names on the sign-up sheet 3 at a time, so those in room, we don't have a room 152 today, it doesn't look like, so I'll skip over that. You will have 4 minutes to testify. Time may not be given to another person. When you're called on, please state your name and address for the record. The public hearing is now open. Ryan will now present background information of the proposed update of Thurston County Code, Chapter 1507, which relates to illicit discharge detection and elimination and source control. Written comments submitted and any additional information requested by the board. Ryan?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Ryan Langen, Stormwater Operations Manager with Public Works. The 2019 to 2024 municipal stormwater permit issued by Washington State Department of Ecology requires the county adopt a source control ordinance prior to August 1st, 2022. Staff reviewed the proposed changes to Thurston County Code, Chapter 1507, which relate to illicit discharge detection and elimination and source control in unincorporated areas of Thurston County. Required and recommended code revisions include references to a source control program consistent with the requirements of the Western Washington Phase 2 Municipal Stormwater Permit, ability to require application of source control best management practices for pollutant generating sources associated with existing land uses and activities, updated terminology, sequencing, and definitions consistent with the permit and the County Drainage Design and Erosion Control Manual, update referenced county department names that have changed over the years. The proposed code revisions reflect changes recommended by Public Works, Community Planning and Economic Development, and the Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Internal and external outreach efforts on the proposed updates were robust, included the following: postcards mailed to the 42 properties that are potentially affected by the source control requirements, updates to the Public Works Stormwater webpage, including the draft documents, a summary of the changes, and an online comment form. To date, no comments were received.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Commissioner Edwards?
No, we've had a lot of discussion on this. No comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Menser?
No, no questions.
Okay, we will go to public testimony for this public hearing. I have 3 on the sign-up sheet. The first one, Mr. John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live on Rich Road, and I get to receive some stormwater off the roads too. But I guess this is only a small point that I'm going to make. Obviously, the updates are pretty much guided by requirements of the State of Washington Department of Ecology. They generally hand it down. You generally have to go through a process and update. What is disappointing, here we are, we have a hearing. Did you know there is not one document at this hearing, not one physical document that anybody can actually look at? This is what we call basically a rubber stamp process. It isn't important to the board, apparently, managers, whoever may be making the decisions. that the public should actually have information to look at. No, you'll decide it for us because we don't need to see it. How do you have a public hearing about something without a single document here available for the public to look at? There was 0 comments turned in. No big surprise. Believe it or not, most people don't go wading through the website of Thurston County to try to find something that they might look for. If you don't talk about it, you don't present it, you don't have hard documents, you're never going to get public comment. So therefore, you get to do a ruling over people without them having a single clue. Now, are you going to approve it? The odds are you're going to approve it. It's just easy. It's a walk in the park. Why? Because, well, we're here, it's time. We have to do it before August 1st, and it's not possible for us to have another hearing to do it with that and meet that deadline. But is that an excuse for depriving the public of proper, what the term was, robust, development and procedure for being able to talk about this? No, it's not. And that has to go to the hands of whoever's responsible to be getting it out there. At this point, you don't have a lot of choice. I'm just asking you, in the future, if you really do have an ordinance, maybe even like the next public hearing we have, if you're really going to have an ordinance, then a copy of it should be right here for everyone to look at. It's not. And yet you're ready to approve it, and the public doesn't get to know anything about it until after you approve it. Things need to change. People that are involved with making decisions that deprive the public from getting to know about things need to be changed. They need to be removed. That's not trying to be hard. It's just a reality. You either represent the people or you want to rule over us. Which one is it? That's all. Thanks.
Next, I have Terry Ballard.
I'm glad I don't know what this is. Oh, first of all, my name's Terry Ballard. I live in unincorporated Thurston County in Tangawell. I have a septic fee that's every year. It claims that it goes into stormwater and into Woodland Creek, but it doesn't. I have all the facts, figures, and everything else. When you talk to Art Story and the manager over here, 5% one year and 4% another year and 5% another year equals 14% of that year of failure rate of septic. I'm tired of paying septic fees for something that is not right, does not occur. If you go out, any of you are more than welcome to go out on Husky and Carpenter Road, look on the Tanglewild side, and you'll find 3 dry wells. Those dry wells do not go across the street into Lacey's property. Those dry wells do not go against the water sewage plant sitting on Woodland Creek by lot. I'm tired of being used as a cash cow. One year, Lacey even produced a letter that said that per their ordinance, which is a joke because we don't go by their ordinances, per their ordinance, any repair of my septic tank is a major repair, and I have to hook up to their system, which runs along one of my property's backyard. Well, that year we had a bunch of people move, okay? Because they didn't want to hook up to sewer, okay? Was that lie taken care of by you, the commissioners? It was mentioned. I guess Lacey has their ordinances because we're in the urban growth area. Well, where's their permitting process for my area? They don't have one. I suggest we get rid of the fictional fee that has no annual report as required, has nothing to do with our septics in Tanglewild, over 800 residents in Tanglewild, okay? And basically we're paying a fee for someone else. They're using the fund not in Tanglewilde, not in the areas that we're paying the fee, but we're paying a fee for someone else to handle a full-time position down here in your health department. Why is that? Well, I guess we're paying road fund fees for everybody else too, to include all the incorporated cities. Why not make it the septic fee as well? And we'll come it under the cloud of the health department. Isn't that a crime? Aren't you guys living in unincorporated Thurston County? Just remember, when you're unelected and they come after your revenue that you're paying for unincorporated Thurston County, I'm going to have fun with that. I'm going to have fun with it. And I want to see you up here complaining about it or pay the big price. Thank you.
Next, I have Rick Hughes. Okay. Does anyone on Zoom wish to testify on this matter?
I have several names. If you'd like to testify on this public hearing related to the illicit discharge changes, can you raise your hand, please? Again, those who have joined us, go ahead, Mr. Wilson, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Tony Wilson. I live in unincorporated Thurston County, south of the Olympia Airport, half a mile or so, I suppose. I guess I'm a little confused about a couple things because I'm hearing other people. I didn't plan to speak to this when I'm here for the 3:30 meeting. When I registered for the 3:30 meeting, it just re-upped the board meeting, and all of it's kind of in a package. When I went there, the documents, the PDF files were there. I didn't choose to review them. I know what's afoot. And so I'm a little confused about that because I believe everything's been provided. I don't know how long those PDF files have been up, but people who offer written comment do so electronically, email or whatever. And, you know, if you are that cognizant, you probably ought to be able to access a PDF file on this website. I assume, now this is me trying to get clarification in my own head because I'm not familiar with how this particular part of representational democracy works, where, you know, we elect you and you represent us and you do the things that you're required to do. The state has passed a law or updated a law about grants, about stormwater. And the county now has to modify its ordinances to match state law in the normal fashion that the larger governmental entity holds some sway over the sub-entities in our democracy. If that's the case, somebody just nod your head. I don't need a big explanation. But I think that's what's happening here. The state did this, and then the county must then do that. And all this is you want to input from people about how they feel about what the state said or what the county's doing or whatever. But I think that's what it is, and thank you for doing it in the firestorm that's here.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else in Zoom who would like to provide public testimony related to this particular public hearing? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, I believe that concludes public testimony, Madam Chair.
Okay, with that, we will move to discussion. Any discussion on this matter? Commissioner Edwards, I saw you unmuted yourself, sir.
I just have a question. I guess this is for the county manager. Is Mr. Pettit right? Is there no packet of review material?
We do not have a printed copy here available, no. But that information has been available for, I believe, since we published the public hearing. Ryan can probably give us a perspective how far ago was that, maybe 20 days, and has been available to the public online if they'd like to provide testimony. Also, on the notice of the public hearing, we outline whomever would like to have this voluminous packet of information printed or otherwise, they can contact the clerk of the Board of County Commissioners, and we will make those copies available upon request.
Okay, is it normally something though that we would have? I mean, this is just an oversight or something that we wouldn't have it there for the hearing, or is that normal?
We make those available upon request, Commissioner, and sometimes, you know, the packet of information is large. In this case, that is the case, includes a lot of pieces of information. And again, if any citizen would like to review that ahead of time, considering the magnitude and the complexity of the items, we'll make those available at any time leading to the public hearing.
Are we missing a legal requirement by not having a printed copy in the boardroom?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, and then on Mr. Ballard's comments about fees and the water not going to Woodard Creek, is there validity there? Are we missing the boat there somewhere where we're possibly overcharging residents?
I believe Mr. Ballard's comments were not related to this public hearing, and to the item related to this public hearing. I don't have an answer to his comments today.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
This isn't intended to comment on the printed or not printed in the boardroom, but just in terms of public dissemination of this item, we did have a work session with the board, and I believe that would have been live streamed.
Yep.
Because it was one of our informational work sessions. So that was another piece of our public access to specifics of this, where staff reviewed the specifics with the commissioners.
And you also took an action to set the public hearing at a Board of County Commissioners meeting.
Okay, with that, are we ready to move to close the public hearing?
I'll go ahead.
Madam Chair, could I ask one other question?
Go ahead, sir.
This might be to staff, but maybe the county manager knows. Are we up against a time frame as stated that we need to get something done here?
Bryan, do you have that answer?
Yes, the permit requires that we have this ordinance in place by August 1st.
Okay, I do think it probably merits discussion to not go up against the clock. Maybe we can discuss this at a future meeting. Thank you.
Okay, with that, ready to move to close the public hearing?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Next is an action to approve the 2022 update of the Chapter 1507 Illicit Discharge Detection and Elimination Ordinance. Are you ready to move forward on that?
Well, I just asked Commissioner Edwards, I didn't quite understand your last comment. Did you want extra time before we present a motion on this, consider a motion on this?
Well, I think Mr. Pettit is right. It's a formality that we're up against, and we are up against the time frame. I guess I would just like to talk at a future meeting, or have this be on one of our work sessions, about not having issues come before the board that are time sensitive and kind of put us in a corner. That's my concern here. The other side of it is that if we need to get it done, I think we need to get it done and just take our lumps, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. I will move to approve the 2022 update of the Chapter 1507 Illicit Discharge Detection and Elimination Ordinance.
Okay, I'm going to second that for discussion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Go ahead, Commissioner Edwards.
have we had input from legal that we're all up to snuff here on everything, that we're not falling short on some legal requirement that we may need if we take that vote right now?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't understand the question.
Well, have we had legal review and we're up to snuff? We got everything covered. We're doing it right. We're up against the time frame. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
It might not.
I believe the
yeah.
ordinance that's before you has been reviewed by legal from prosecuting attorney's office. Confirmation, Tim or Ryan?
That is correct. It has been reviewed by legal.
Okay, I mean, it sounds to me as if everything is, so to speak, up to snuff, but I do think that we're not serving the public quite like we should if we're being forced into a corner, and really on any vote that we have to take. So that's it for me, ma'am.
Okay. With that, any further discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menser,
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye. That will conclude our public hearing for 3 p.m. It is 3:22. We do have a public hearing starting at 3:30. I think we can go back to our regular agenda and try to cover some items before jumping back onto our public hearing for 3:30. So with that, we left off with item 4E on our regular Board of County Commissioners agenda, which was designated service provider interlocal agreement with Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This particular items relate to a new local agreement with the cities of Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater to collaborate on soliciting a request for proposals to enter into separate contracts with a designated service provider or service providers to manage public education and government, also known as PEG, access funds and operated PEG access channels, facilities, and equipment, and provide non-commercial PEG access services. Non-commercial PEG access services include public access programming, education access programming, and government access programming, and cable casting, public educational and government programming and access channels. This request for proposals will set the stage to how we're going to be providing the services to each of the jurisdictions that I just listed. And each jurisdictions will have the option to, based on the proposals, to approve their own contracts based on the services they see applicable to their own jurisdictions. And barring any questions.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
I guess, could the county manager clarify the acronym PEG?
Yes, that is the Public Education and Government.
And that is a fund that we have, or that is something that
yeah, that is a fund that has yes, that is a fund that has specific requirements, sir. There's requirements that that are just outlined in terms of public access.
Okay, and I just want to clarify this for the viewers, that what we're attempting to do here is come up with a program that'll allow each one of the jurisdictions to be successful in this. Is that right?
Yes, I think the request for proposals will provide the somewhat of catering to the needs of individual jurisdictions, and individual jurisdictions through their exercising their own contracts will bring those activities related to addressing their needs. The county may have separate needs than perhaps the city of Olympia, Lacey, or Tumwater. And this request for proposal will give us the tools to achieve that objective.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Menser?
County Manager, can you describe how this differs from how we've been handling this particular service over the last several years?
Yeah, right now we have an exclusive contract with TC Media. And through this process, I believe TC Media will be in the position to provide a proposal as to how we can partner with them in the future, and perhaps maybe other providers as well.
Okay. Any further questions? I'm ready for a motion.
I'll move to approve the interlocal agreement with the cities of Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater to collaborate on soliciting a request for proposals to enter into separate contracts with the designated services provider for audiovisual services for county meetings, special projects, and PEG activities, and authorize the county manager to execute the agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
So moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Edwards and then Commissioner Menser.
Okay. I think this is probably a good example of many of the complications that develop in attempting to do the public's business. And I'll just let it go at that. Maybe Commissioner Menser is more articulate when he goes to explaining things. Thank you.
Commissioner Menser?
I'm going to say that I'm tentatively supporting this as a step. I do have concerns. This is a very specialized service. It doesn't lend itself to a formulaic type of RFP process. I'm going to scrutinize these proposals extremely carefully because there's a lot that goes into the services that are needed for these activities by Thurston County, and I'll go forward with this because I think it'll give us information, but I think I would encourage our partners and the county to look very carefully at where we go once we get the proposals and make sure we truly get the best product for the residents of our county.
And we've had a lot of discussion on this previous agenda sessions. With that, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. It's 3:28.
Better stop because
Yeah, I'll go ahead and stop. Gretchen, I'll get you once we're done with our public hearing.
it's complicated.
It is 3:28. We're going to prepare for our public hearing for 3:30. So if you're here, with that, you will start shortly.
Well, sure.
Commissioner Downing.
Perfect. So it is 3:30. We'll go ahead and start with our public hearing. I know there are people signing in to provide public testimony, but we'll go ahead. So the topic of today is the ballot proposition to increase the Board of County Commissioners from 3 to 5 members. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public comment on the resolution to authorize the Board of County Commissioners to be increased from 3 to 5 members pursuant to RCW 36.32.055.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would just clarify this purpose. It's really about a request to ask voters to approve such a increase. The way it reads is as if we would be doing that councilmanically. And
Automatically, we're not allowed under law.
yeah, just to clarify that.
So this is to accept and consider public comment on the resolution to authorize the Board of County Commissioners to put this on the ballot, on the November ballot for voters, to increase from 3 to 5 members pursuant to RCW 36.32.055. Does that?
That's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined in person, by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select announcements of public hearings on the left-hand side. The information to join this public hearing remotely has been posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. Ramiro Chavez, our county manager, will provide information on this topic. Assuming those on Zoom wish to testify, I will read your name out loud. I will read names on the sign-up sheet and then go to members who haven't signed up and see if anyone else would like to provide testimony. You will have 4 minutes to testify. Time may not be given to another person. When you are called on, please state your name and the address for the record. The public hearing is now open. The county manager will now present background information of the proposed resolution authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to put this item on the ballot for voters in November to be increased from 3 to 5 members.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This particular public hearing was properly noticed, meeting the legal notice requirements of the Olympian. And also so far we have received, I believe, 4 public comments. One is from the Chamber of Commerce supporting this effort. 2 citizens' comments supporting this effort. 1 in opposition, a phone call. And we also received an email, and this email comment was related about how we have communicated this particular measure or action to the citizens. As a matter of background, RCW 36.32.055, parentheses 1, the Board of County Commissioners of a non-charter county, in this case Thurston County, with a population of 300,000 or more and less than 400,000, may cause a ballot proposition to be submitted at a general election to the voters of the county, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to increase from 3 to 5 members. On June 30th, 2022, the Washington State Office of Financial Management released updated population numbers confirming that Thurston County has meet this particular requirement, and in fact, we are at this point at 300,500. This resolution is to consider submission of the ballot proposition to the voters to decide whether or not to expand the Board of County Commissioners from 3 to 5 members. RCW 36.32055, parentheses 1, authorizes to increase to 5 members with the specific next steps. If the voters approve the 2 newly created positions, that will be positions 4 and position 5, shall be filled at the elections the next year after the election has been held, in this case in 2023. In 2023, position number 4 will be elected for 1 year, and position number 5 will be elected for 3 years. And that is intended to align with the staggered election the current Board of County Commissioners will have. In this particular case, unlike the Port of Olympia Commission, the Board of County Commissioners, they do not have the option to have an at-large representative. It has to be district specific. Moving on to the process, the county shall be divided into 5 commissioners' districts so that each district shall comprise as nearly as possible, as neatly as nearly as possible, or 1/5 of the population of the county. No two members of the existing Board of County Commissioners may, at the time of the designation of such districts, permanently reside in one of the 5 districts. Additional requirements are outlined in RCW 29A.76010. In those districts, each shall be as compact as possible. Each district shall consist of geographically contiguous area, and also population data may not be used for the purpose of favoring or disfavoring any racial group or political party. And there's additional requirements under the RCW. Also, this particular statute states that the Board of County Commissioners shall, by no later of March 13, 2023, adopt a resolution creating the districts. If by March 13, 2023, the Board of County Commissioners has failed to create the districts, the prosecuting attorney of the county shall petition to the Thurston County Superior Court to appoint a referee to designate the 5 commissioner districts. The referee shall designate such districts no later than June 1st of the year following the election, in this case 2023. The 2 commissioner districts within which no existing members of the Board of County Commissioners permanently reside shall be designated as District 4 and 5. We have a plan in order to address this particular deadline, and I will outline the plan here in a second. Also, the county has signed a joint resolution with the Port of Olympia Commission. That is resolution number 2029-11, which that was passed last fall. That will be the fall in 2021. What really set the stage as how we collaboratively will be working with this Port of Olympia related to this particular item. Should the voters approve this ballot proposition and similar ballot propositions set forward by the Port of Olympia, the Board of County Commissioners shall work collaboratively with the Port of Olympia Commission per joint resolution, again, number 2021-11, to draw the new commissioner boundaries by forming a 3-member redistricting committee, which includes the chair of the county commission, the chair of the port commission, and as well as the county auditor. The board just approved a new item, recent item here early today related to a memorandum of understanding with the Port of Olympia, which gives us the instrument to financially cooperate in this venture. Each time the 3-member redistricting committee meets, a special meeting notice shall be posted in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. So every time the redistricting committee will meet will be open to the public. That is not a requirement by law, but that's an effort to have an open conversation and the public can observe. Each of the Board of County Commissioners, as well as the Port Commission, shall take separate legislative action to approve the newly created districts. If the Port of Olympia ballot proposition does not pass, the redistricting committee may recommend the Port Commission to abstain from approving the newly created districts. And the same will apply to the ballot measure for the Board of County Commissioners. Also, this particular resolution includes the you direct the county manager to coordinate with the prosecuting attorneys to bring an ordinance establishing the 5 new county commissioner districts in no later by 3 months after the November 8, 2022 election. Speaking of the coordination with the Port of Olympia, we have laid out a very robust schedule as to how the redistricting process should be, because in order for if this passes on the November 8th election, the Port of Olympia ballot measure, if the Port of Olympia want to have the elected new commissioners in 2023, they need to submit the new districts by the end of 2022. And we're considering that we have this joint resolution in a collaborative matter, that is the schedule that we have before you, in which we will start working on the redistricting committee parallel to and leading to the November 8th election, November 8th, 2022 election. And at this point, tentatively, we have a potential action by both the legislative parties, the Board of County Commissioners, as well as the Port Commission, for you to consider approving the districts after a public hearing. I believe the Port of Olympia has a schedule for December 12th, 2022, and I have you scheduled for December 13, 2022. And I'll be more than happy to walk you through the details of the schedule, and I'm open for any questions. And I believe we have members of the Port of Olympia here, Commissioner Downing, as well as Executive, Port Executive, and as well as the Council for the Port of Olympia.
And Chair Ayal as well.
Chair, yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Any questions?
Questions? Commissioner Edwards?
No, I think we'll have plenty of time for discussion as we move down the road with this. This is quite a complicated topic, but I think it is necessary for good government. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Menser?
No questions, just maybe one extra piece of information that speaks to two of the written comments we got. One written comment we got said support, but they'd like to see a charter. The other one said they wanted to see a vote of the people. So this is a vote of the people. A charter would have 2 votes of the people, and it's more complicated. You elect freeholders, and you can actually change the entire structure of county government, and that's a lot more complicated. This is a route that's available, much simpler when you hit 300,000, and it's 1 vote of the people. But it is a vote of the people. So the person that was concerned that it wouldn't be a vote, it will. The person that was concerned that they'd like to do a charter, that's a good perspective, but that would be a much more different process and involved process, and one that has not been successful in the past because it gets really complicated. This is a little simpler to understand and straightforward, but it does involve the vote of the public.
Manager?
Maybe following up to that, Commissioner Menser, not necessarily I have received public testimony, but I've heard some comments how much this will cost to the county. And made a preliminary assessment, this will cost to the county just about $500,000 a year, and that will include the salaries of the 2 new commissioners, their assistants. But put in the perspective of the overall budget, our regular normal budget is about $350 million. That is just about 0.01% of that. So I just want to provide that.
Okay. Seeing no more questions, we'll move forth to public testimony. So I will call the members who have signed up first, then I'll move up to Zoom. First person, John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live on Rich Road in East Olympia. You know, I am very much an advocate for more representative government. Representative government, it falls in line kind of what I spoke about before, and I would read this one more time. The people of the state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people in designating authority do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed and informing the people's public servants of their views so that they may retain control over the instruments they have created. Changing from 3 commissioners to 5 commissioners, it is significant. And I have a couple concerns. One is that someone wants to talk about a $350 million budget. That's really very bogus. The fact is, you have about $115 million worth of regular revenue in for the county, and you just, every time you turn it to a different department, you count it again, so it's triple the counting. $500,000 more cost. At the same time that we can't afford to give the employees, the 1,000 employees plus of Thurston County, reasonable salary increases. But we could have 5 commissioners. Now, what's the difference between 5 commissioners and 3? Well, I did find it interesting. We talked about the question of whether something can be councilmatic or not. You may remember, I'm sure you as commissioners remember, and it became effective July 1st, 2022. You 2 particular commissioners sitting here voted and increased all of the unincorporated plus incorporated, except for the city of Olympia, sales tax. You increased the sales tax burden on the people by $5 million. You had an option of putting it on the ballot. You chose not to. Now, my concern about going to 5 commissioners actually has to do with a comment that came from Commissioner Menzer, and I actually recorded this comment because I find it to be a little sad. We can talk out of the public's view, we can talk behind, we can negotiate, make deals.
5 commissioners, I would be willing to revisit that, but if we could actually have a conversation off camera about anything, but we can't. So, as I tried to say to citizens, think about trying to solve complex problems of county government when you're limited to campaign speeches. Would that be a good way to dig in and solve problems and find consensus and common ground? 100% of citizens will say absolutely not. But that's what we're doing when we live stream every meeting. And we have 3 commissioners with the Open Public Meetings Act that preclude us from having any preliminary discussion or offers of compromise or anything. It's just not good government. So
it's not good government. That's very concerning to me. Open government is not good government. The idea of having 5 commissioners allows somebody to walk around, make an alliance with 2 of the other commissioners, and take total control of the board without the people knowing what the backroom deals were. So I have to go against this on that one basis. I don't want people out there that are behind my back, making deals, not letting the people actually be involved. And I want you to make sure you make big announcements about things like the the sales tax you increased. You know what? If you want to take
Mr.
credit
Pettit,
for
your
doing
time
good,
is through.
and you need to take credit for the things you've done otherwise. Thank you.
Next, Terry Ballard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Terry Ballard. I live in Tanglewilde, unincorporated Thurston County. $500,000? Wow. Are we going to do what the manager and the assistant manager did here and call up the veteran fee and veteran fund and the mental health fund and road fund and say we have all this money, but we're not going to spend it out of there? We're going to spend it on somebody else? Like we're going to shift the money somewhere else? That seems to be a problem in Thurston County Commission. I wish I was living in a place called Rochester or Grand Mound, so I could definitely separate from unincorporated Thurston County. It would be an honor. But since we have, since most of the people wanted a charter, but the vote of the people said no. Wow. And the people that wanted that charter was one that resided in Lacey, one that resided in Olympia, and one that resided in Tumwater, all incorporated cities and not unincorporated Thurston County. That scares me. Are we at 300,000 people? Because we weren't last year. Are we at that, or how are we coming up with that number? That's how are we coming up with that number scares me, okay? And this one really scared me a couple years ago, having a transportation benefits district started where there's nobody living in no commissioner was living in unincorporated Thurston County until one person got on the board, got on the commission board here, And then they continued a transportation tax benefits district, which is still illegal to date. I see a lot of increases in personnel, but I don't see increases in police enforcement. My police officers that are assigned to unincorporated Thurston County and contracted out to the other cities, I don't see an increase in that. I've heard that they're poorly paid. I've heard everything under the sun to defund the police. Okay, if you don't give them the money, you don't give them increases, you don't buffer, you don't increase the personnel, you're just, all right, defunding police, okay? As far as Lacey, Olympia, and Tumwater was concerned with when those commissioners are, I'm scared of another commissioner. Because right now you use unincorporated money, road fund money, other fund money that doesn't belong to the general fund for use throughout the incorporated cities. I'm scared of that, okay? What I'm scared about too is this new tax, this new home tax. This new home tax benefited Olympia. Well, I'm sorry. It's a conflict of interest there because I have an Olympia city councilman who is married to a staff member of Mr. Menzer. That right there is just all out, okay? All out a problem for me. So I'll leave with that. I am against the increase. I am against coming up with another $500,000 that we don't have because I believe we're just simply out of money. We have to shift it from every which way because we're out of money. And where's this money going? We need to start following the money, see where it goes. Thank you.
Next is Rick Hughes.
Hello, Commissioners. I signed up just to let you know I'm here to answer any questions that you might have regarding the port's legal process. I'm the port's general counsel and very happy to be here and would be happy to respond to any questions that pertain to the port legal process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Sam Gibney.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Sam Gibney, and I am the Executive Director of the Port of Olympia. In December of 2021, the Port Commission adopted Joint Resolution 2021-11 entitled A Joint Resolution Between the Port of Olympia Commission and the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners establishing mutual intent to collaborate on respective ballot measures to increase the number of commissioners and redraw district boundaries. The Port of Olympia Commission will also be taking action on a resolution this coming Monday, July 25th, entitled A Resolution of the Port of Olympia Commission on submitting a proposition to a vote by the qualified voters of the Port District whether the number of commissioners of the Port District should be increased from 3 commissioners to 5 commissioners, each assigned to one of 5 newly drawn districts. Additionally, the Port Commission will be considering a memorandum of understanding, which County Manager Chavez spoke to, between the Port of Olympia and Thurston County for the purposes of implementing Joint Resolution 2021-11 between the parties regarding drafting proposed new districts. This MOU will set forth a timeline for the 2 entities to work together to develop and approve a redistricting plan should the ballot proposition be approved. This would permit the would meet the deadline of the end of this year to submit that plan so that the election of 2 new port commissioners could commence in 2023. The MOU also outlines a cost-sharing agreement to support these efforts. The Port appreciates the collaboration to date and the collaboration yet to come, moving forward with Thurston County on this effort.
Thank you.
Next, Joe Downing.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Commissioner Menzer, Commissioner Mejia, and Commissioner Edwards. I'm thrilled to be here and talk to you. I want to thank you for your partnership because we met a year ago in this very room and came to an agreement that that we both wanted to move forward with a 5-person commission. It's equally important in your side of the fence and our side of the fence. I think the election cycles, the way they're structured, creates a problem for me. I've been a commissioner for about 6.5 years. I've been through 2 out of the 3 commissioners being replaced twice in that period of time. And complex institutions like port districts, like county commissions, county government require continuity. And so we lose that continuity when we have a big turnover. And it takes time away from good government. The cost to the port might be around $200,000, you know, initial costs and so forth, and less than that on an ongoing basis. But, you know, we like yourself, I mean, you make multi-million-dollar decisions and we make million-dollar decisions. So those have to be well thought out. And so I think it's really important to have good discussion and collaboration of commissioners. And as Commissioner Menser pointed out, it's good for a couple of 2 commissioners to get together and talk about an issue and then bring back a more well thought out idea when you have your public meeting. So I think that's a good thing. We see that happening in all of our cities. All of our cities have 7-member councils, and so they're able to get together and hash out issues and really think through issues and come up with a better decision. Also, you know, sometimes I see, you know, on a 3-person commission, a 1 person who's a minority can have an outsized influence and can disrupt the process. And so, you know, I think that there's less chance of that with 5 commissioners. So just some of my ideas. And again, I appreciate, you know, this is groundbreaking to have the county and the port working together on something. So I appreciate your attention to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jarney. Next, I have Michael Stedman.
Thank you for having me, Michael Stedman, 37th Lane, Lacey, Washington. Commissioner Mejia, Commissioner Menser, Commissioner Edwards, County Manager Chavez. I could go either way on this. You know, there's good points in, you know, the amount of money it costs to pay for representation. Key thing that comes to mind is I-5 corridor. You know, we didn't fix it for 40 years. And then we watched it, you know, decline and decay right before our eyes, and it cost 4 times as much later to build it. In a lot of ways, this is very similar. If you can't put a price tag on representation, and if you do, it comes at a price. People aren't represented. I think the other main point when looking at a serious issue like this is districting, to make sure that the districts, you know, have at least some kind of connectivity or continuity with their history, if you will, because there's values and beliefs and stuff that each city and county neighborhood has uniquely. So that's very important. It's probably the most important thing when addressing a serious issue like this. But I will say, Public Meetings Act and violating that is a very huge thing. Everybody knows pretty much that I'm a council member in Lacey. We have 7 council members, and we can talk freely amongst 3 of us at a time. And that's almost, you know, not enough to get all the good ideas out there and vetted and aired. And, you know, you don't want to leave any stone unturned when, you know, because that could be a good idea to solve a gigantic problem and save money. So, but it's very important that we have citizen involvement and engagement. And again, you can't put a price on that. So, you know, no matter which way you guys decide to go, it's a ballot measure. That's a good thing. But again, I think if the people can be engaged and educated in the process of their government, because it's their government, and they elect us to represent them, then everybody wins. But again, it's working. Could it work better? Yeah. it's part of the process. So I'm excited for people to learn about it. Thank you.
Next, Christina Janis. I apologize, my microphone was not on. Christina Janis, go.
Heard you just fine, but anyways, hi, Christina Janis. I reside in the northwest portion of the county off Oyster Bay Road. Kind of similar views that Michael had. I'm huge on advocacy. I think all people need the right to be included in their voice, and we do have a wide range of voices in this county. I think it's only smart to have the 5 commissioners there. We need to be represented in all segments of the county and not just the populous sections. Long time, lifetime Thurston County resident, we're only going to keep growing. And I think it would be very wise to push this to ballot for the people to vote on, and hopefully with a positive outcome. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. Chair Ayala, would you like to provide public testimony?
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't actually plan to come and say anything today. I really wanted to hear what the public had to say, but I'm happy to add my support to moving to 5 commissioners for the Port of Olympia and for the County Board of Commissioners. I suppose if I have one concern, it's how the redistricting will actually take place. You know, the district I represent, I want to make sure that, you know, that all is very amicable for everybody involved there. So I will be happy to be part of the team that actually defines that redistricting. So I'm looking forward to it, and I do believe this is going to be a good thing for all of Thurston County. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone.
Nope.
Would you like to provide, Greg? No, okay.
Greg, no? No? Okay.
Okay, going to Zoom then.
Yeah, I'm going to be calling you based on the order that I see on my Zoom screen. First, I have with the label 1476. Please unmute yourself, and you have 4 minutes, sir. Introduce yourself and where you reside in the county.
My name is Frank Hensley, and I live in Tumwater at the moment. I formerly lived in the county, and I never moved, but I was annexed back into the city. There is no doubt in my mind that the range and depth of matters that come before our elected officials is increasing day by day. I have no problem whatsoever with increasing the number of county commissioners from 3 to 5. As to the port commissioners, not so much, but nonetheless, I certainly favor moving forward with a public vote on this matter and urge passage of what is before you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Mr. Walter Jorgensen. No testimony, sir?
No testimony.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, I have Mr. Tony Wilson. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. My name is Tony Wilson. I live in unincorporated Thurston County, south of the Tumwater Olympia Airport. And I do support this. And I first want to applaud all of you who are looking at handling it. If this gets past the population of this county, and I think it should get passed, then you get to work with the redistricting. And redistricting is, in my mind, is one of the most feared words in the English language in this country. And I applaud you for being willing to step into that particular fire out of a necessity that the county grow politically as it grows demographically. I also want to address something Commissioner Menser said about the difference between this and Charter County, and that's very important. But Charter County was the last thing that the commission tried to get enacted in this county, and it's been a lot of decades ago, and it failed miserably. I'm hoping that This very important step is something that is diligently worked on so that the people understand why and see the wisdom because they've been given all the information and the people choose to pass it. Cost is interesting. Most cities, most political entities experience, and workplaces too, about 18% is what they call burden. And that's everything that's not in your check. Retirement plans and health insurance and all of the different things. There's about 18% is what it runs according to HR people. So if you take 2 commissioners at 260,000 and then you add in 18%, and then you put in 2 people to support those 2 commissioners and take the phone calls and the emails and that kind of traffic, $500,000 isn't, and provide 4 more offices, isn't that much money for what you're proposing to do. I don't think it's out of line. I don't think you can bring in 2 other commissioners at less money than you're getting paid, and neither can you bring in staff members to support them for less than your staff members are being paid. And so that's $500,000, not an unreasonable amount of money. I support this. I think it's good. As several people have mentioned, the idea that you can actually vet ideas between a couple of commissioners without violating state law is useful. The idea that you can have a better representation of the demographics of this county as the county grows and matures and changes is a good thing. This Thurston County is not what was here 40 years ago. And having 5 commissioners will help to look down the road 40 years to what it will be and have representation for all the different demographics that will be here as the county becomes more complex and grows. So thank you for pushing this. Thank you for having the desire to serve at this level and for the time to speak today.
Thank you, sir. And I believe that concludes public testimony, Madam Chair.
Okay, moving on to discussion. Commissioner Edwards?
No, I think there's going to be plenty of time for discussion as we move forward. I think it's, there is one thing unique. If you look at the makeup of the 2 different commissions as they exist today, pretty diverse. So is it strange that everybody's headed the same direction? I don't know. Could we do better? I'm sure we could. But I just think that there's merit to moving forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Menser?
I also agree that there is merit moving forward, and I kind of rely on 3 arguments for that. 2 of them are very eloquently summarized in the chamber letter, so I'm going to actually read those pieces because they pretty much hit the nail on the head for 2 of those. The 3rd one was nailed on the head by Commissioner Downing, and so I'll start with that one, and that's his piece about institutional knowledge, continuity, stability. The fact that you can, this job is so complex. I feel like I'm so much better of a commissioner now than I was when I started. And when you can lose 2 of your 3 in one election cycle, and Commissioner Downing described how he'd gone through that twice, I haven't had to go through it, but boy, I just can't imagine that being the right way to have the continuity and stability you need on a complex board like ours. So that's one. The other 2, and I'll read from the Chamber's letter, the number, distribution, and density of the county population is changing. Increasing the number of commissioners and commission districts will provide better and more equal representation for what is rapidly becoming a more diverse set of voters and regional interests. It is important we increase representation on the commission. So there's number 2 for me, and number 3 for me, and again, I'm going to quote from the chamber letter, expanding the number of commissioners will make for a more efficient commission. An increase in the minimum quorum requirements for commission votes from 2 to 3, 2 of 3 to 3 of 5 will enable the commission to establish subcommittees comprised of 2 commissioners. Subcommittees allow greater focus on specific problems, operations, and policy issues. The use of subcommittees to study and frame issues is a common structure embraced by contemporary public and private sector councils, boards of trustees, and boards of directors. So those are kind of the three pieces I think that are most important, and so I would like to have the voters weigh in on this, this proposal.
Thank you. I guess my discussion point is, being the newest commissioner here, the only time I really got to sit down with Commissioner Edwards and Commissioner Menser was back in December before I came into office, and got to see their point of views in an hour meeting. Now, coming in with a bunch of information, being, drinking from a fire hose, it was a lot to take in, and not being able to talk to your other commissioners who have that historical context. I'm currently sitting on a total of 19 different boards and committees. Some of them I took over from our previous Commissioner Hutchins. Some of them I took over from Commissioner Edwards. Others I took from Commissioner Menser. And sitting on those committees and not having any historical context is very difficult. Just relying basically on what they give you and not having that point of view from the county has been at times a struggle. And so, I do agree. Sometimes you just have to have those conversations and be like, hey, what happened, a couple of years ago? Can you give me that information? So that's just my point of view. I think the other points have already been, Commissioner Menser and Commissioner Edwards have gone over, as well as Commissioner Joe Downing, as well as Commissioner Bob Ayal from the port. I look forward to putting this in front of the voters. And I look forward to sitting on the redistricting committee. It's nothing, I've ever done before. And so I know it's going to be a learning experience for me. I'm sure it's going to be a learning experience for Port Commissioner Chair Ayal. But, we did it in a way where it was open to the public. So that whole process will be open to the public if anyone's interested in attending those meetings. Because it was one of the things Commissioner Edwards brought up, where, he wanted to be sure the public was involved, and it was something the whole board was in agreement with. With that, any other discussion points? Any questions from the commissioners?
No, ma'am.
Okay, are we ready to move to close the public hearing?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Next, are we ready to move forward with the resolution?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the resolution to submit to the qualified electors of the county at the general election to be held on November 8th, 2022, to authorize the Board of County Commissioners to be increased from 3 to 5 members pursuant to RCW 3632055.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been
There
moved
is a
and second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I would just say that I studied government in college, and so this kind of nerdy government stuff really is exciting, and I understand the importance and significance of this, so I'm pretty excited about the chance to make this motion.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. With that, you're adjourned with this public hearing. Commissioners, we still do have...
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioners, we still have items on our agenda. So we're quite not done yet. So moving on where we left off with public health and social services. Item 5A, Department of Children, Youth and Family Services Contract Concrete Goods, number 22-1309.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Gretchen Toller, and I'm the Maternal Child Health Nurse Family Partnership Division Director with Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. I am seeking approval to rescind contract number 22-1309 for concrete goods with the Washington State Department of Children, Youth, and Families. This contract was approved on June 7th, 2022, and was for the amount of $30,000 and for the period of May 11th through October 25th of 2022. And I'm open to any questions.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
I guess I would like to have someone, and I don't know if that's Gretchen or the county manager, explain what took place so the public knows why we were not able to accept this money as pass-through money to help citizens in need.
Maybe I can give it a shot, Commissioner. Thank you for the allowing me to explain this. Back in June 7, 2022, the board took an action to accept just about $35,000 from the Department of Washington State Department of Children, Youth, and Families. After that action, staff realized that it was a budget proviso for this year and that particular funding source. And the budget proviso, it was introduced by the governor's office that it was intended to be distributed directly to nonprofits and not to local governments. So through the many conversations, that was probably the best approach that we can provide at this point. And it is required for you to consider rescinding that action that you took on June 7, 2022. We are continuing. I think this morning was a good conversation. Commissioner Mejia asked a good question as to how we're going to be moving forward. And I believe there is a meeting, staff meeting coming up as to how we can find a way to continue with this process. That is in a nutshell.
Thank you.
Commissioner Menzer?
No, Commissioner Edwards covered it for me.
Okay. With that, is there a motion?
Yes, I would move to rescind the service contract that was approved by the Board of County Commissioners on June 7th, 2022 for concrete goods, number 221309, with the Washington State Department of Children, Youth, and Families.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Our final item on our agenda is item 5B, and it's waiver of bidding requirements for HEN case management services.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Keely Marino with Public Health and Social Services here today with this item. Today, I am seeking approval to waive bidding requirements for HEN case management and to award $50,000 to Partners in Prevention Education to provide those important case management services. As you know, on June 30th of this year, 2022, Community Action Council chose not to renew their contract to provide housing and essential needs services to citizens of Thurston County. Thurston County's Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention, as well as Fiscal Services, has been working diligently to ensure that these clients receive their rental payments for August. And we are overwhelmed with the need of the individuals both seeking housing and those that are currently hoping to maintain their housing. And so as an interim step, we offered a letter of inquiry and interest out into our provider community to see if any of our providers would be willing to take on the HEN contract or portions of the HEN contract. We received several responses. All but one stated that they were interested in all or part of the HEN contract, but would not be able to stand up any kind of services for 2 to 3 months. One agency, Partners in Prevention Education, indicated that they would be able to stand up case management services immediately. So we are hoping that we can move forward today with your approval to contract with Partners in Prevention Education to keep some of our most vulnerable citizens housed in the HEN program. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No, I think this is just finalizing some unfortunate situations that developed over the last few months. This is our move to try and solve the problem. So thank you. I'm good to go.
Commissioner Menser, questions?
No.
And I don't have any questions as well. I'm ready for a motion.
I move to waive competitive bidding requirements and approve a contract with Partners in Prevention Education for up to $50,000 to provide case management services for housing and essential needs clients on an interim basis for up to 3 months, and authorize the county manager to sign the contract, and any amendments do not change the amount or duration by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I guess the only thing I will say is thank you to staff for really thinking on your feet and really trying to find the best solution for the people who would be affected by this. I know it was very difficult, but you all did a great job. With that, I'll call the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. On to our final item, item 6. 6A, commissioners will report on board work sessions and assigned committee meetings, providing updates on actions taken as well as upcoming issues. Commissioner Edwards?
I think I've probably covered all of my issues and arguments today, and I'll just let it go at that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Menser?
Sure. I had various events, community events of various types, and just to highlight some of the ones that were commissioner related, Lacey Makerspace and St. Martin's University had an event last week showing off the new, they got a grant for new innovation equipment, and St. Martin's, they've worked out an arrangement to greatly expand the space to accommodate this new equipment. So it's very exciting the things they're going to be able to do. They're already doing some pretty cool stuff, and they're going to be able to do more with the new equipment and new space. So that was great. The commissioners gave appreciation to our planning commission at a dinner on Thursday. We had, I spent time on public health director interviews, which we're hoping to move forward on that. I worked with citizens on the Grand Mound sub-area plan concerns down in Grand Mound, and also continued meetings with folks related to issues regarding Community Action Council.
Okay, thank you. For me, yesterday I went over to Burfoot Park and I walked around with a citizen who had some concerns, and so I'll be meeting with staff and bringing those forward to the commission, and just I learned a lot about that park specifically. I attended the Lake Fair Parade on behalf of the county, and I attended it with my 2 girls. And I attended the Finance Committee, as well as the Regional Housing Council meeting. Nothing really to report on that. And as well as the Planning Commission dinner. Okay, with that, item 6B, the county manager will review the Board of County Commissioners schedule for the week of July 19th, 2022.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me walk you through your combined schedule where at least 2 commissioners will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. Those will not be part of my report. Starting to nothing for the rest of the day. Lucky you.
Aren't we all going to the EDC event?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you do have
Not so
an
fast,
event.
County Manager.
I don't have it in mind, so you're going. Soon after this, you have been invited to participate on the Economic Development Council Hood-Nunny, and that is the yearly event. It's going to be held at their offices at the EDC, which is located at 4220 6th Avenue Southeast and Lacey. Forget about that one. Then moving on to tomorrow, Wednesday, July 20th. At 9 in the morning, you have a follow-up briefing related to the Country Club Road, and that is a culvert replacement briefing by Public Works. Following at 10 in the morning, you have a joint work session with the Nisqually Tribal Council. This is going to be via Zoom, we just couldn't make it up an in-person meeting. From 11 to just about 2 in the afternoon, there is an open house at the Tumwater Historic Park. It's going to be located at shelter at 802 the Shoots Way Southeast in Tumwater, where you will have the opportunity to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the LEAD program. That will be the Law Enforcement Diversion Program. You will come back to this room at 2 in the afternoon, where you have a briefing related to the Noxious Weed Control Board. Nothing specific, it's just the yearly update from the board. Thursday, July 21st, at 1 in the afternoon, you have 2 commissioners will have the Thurston Mesa Viejo Head Administration Services Board meeting. Nothing on your combined schedule on July 22nd. Moving on to Monday, July 25th, you have been invited to participate at the regular standing meeting with the Washington State Association of Counties virtual assembly. And then we will convene back again on Tuesday, July 26th, 9 in the morning in this room to have your regular agenda setting. Not that it matters, but I will be out of the office starting this Saturday for 2 weeks, and Robin Campbell will be covering my absence.
It matters. Can I ask about the Nisqually work session tomorrow? I don't have any materials. I don't want to be not unprepared.
No, what we have is just an open conversation between the 2 commissions. We didn't have any specific items.
Not like related to broadband?
No, not that I know of, sir.
Okay.
We tried to find some items. I don't think we have any feedback, so it's going to be just an open conversation. A good opportunity to connect with the tribal council.
Okay.
We should shoot for something in person, I think.
Yeah, maybe the next time we should probably find something in person. It just logistically couldn't happen.
Okay, questions? It is 4:27. We are adjourned. Thank you.